wanted to hop on and do a quick case study white paper video of a landing page redesign that I've just completed. What we're looking at right now is the starting page. It's for Reiki services. So the client and I decided that she wants to significantly conversion rate optimize this page. You'll notice that as you go down the page, there's many calls to action for many different products. One is a 15-minute discovery call, one is a deep dive, and one is a restorative 1 hour. So what we determined through our discovery is that the current setup that she has, and particularly this section and here with these options, is not allowing her prospects to follow her desired purchasing path. In the client's mind, what would happen ideally is that all new clients should book a 15-minute Q&A call, and then the first full interaction of any new person while they're being onboarded should be this deep dive one, which this one is the higher priced item. And then this 1 hour session that she offers at the bottom, we determined through our discovery that actually the only reason why she's offering this here is for her existing clients. But what was happening was that people would kind of come, even, let's assume that we're a new viewer. A new person would come and look at all of these options, and then they probably, actually most of the time, they would wind up just booking a 1 hour session, not really understanding why they need to do this deep dive. And most people would not do the discovery call at all. Through our discovery with myself and the client, we determined that the best way to keep people on the value ladder that she has determined is most ideal for their needs is to eliminate these other two options entirely and to focus on pushing everyone through the discovery call, the Q&A call. The reason being is that most of her existing clients, she's booking, Heather, the practitioner here, the Reiki practitioner, with most of her existing clients, she's already booking this 1 hour session on the back end. So pretty much after they will have one, say Heather's meeting with a regular and they're closing out their, monthly or weekly session, Heather is already saying, hey, Lisa, you want to go ahead and book your next session for 2 weeks from now or whatever. So we just kind of decided that this was already being taken care of. So offering that option on the page was a little bit confusing for new prospects, since we really don't want them to go here at all. And on top of that, it is not as though her existing clients are going to this page to be booking the 1 hour session. That's not really what's happening. And for the most part, they're already booking the session in a one-on-one conversation with Heather. So that's why this is not super relevant. And then we decided that in much the same way, the deep dive sessions, Heather should be kind of having a one-on-one conversation with the individuals when the case is that the client is a completely new prospect, that it does not serve them best to offer an option to book a deep dive session. Instead, what's better is for them to jump into the Q&A call, since again, that's the intended first step of any onboarding for new clients. And Heather has also determined that that is what gets the best results for the people that she's working with, is that she has the opportunity to speak with them first before diving into going through a whole session. So we decided that much in the same way that these 1-hour sessions are booked by, like, Heather is closing out an existing conversation with the person and asking them to go ahead and schedule a session and doing that kind of manually. We decided that that would be the best case to take with the deep dive session as well. So we eliminated actually both of these options in the redesign, and now it focuses fully on conversions of getting people, particularly new prospects, into the Q&A call, because we decided that Heather probably is best at closing these deals in person. Plus, if it, like, Heather as a practitioner is the one who is best equipped to decide what of these options somebody coming to her needs, and it's not always necessarily the client who knows best what they need. So it probably would be most effective for Heather to be able to guide the individual through that process instead of presenting them with many options and allowing them to choose, and possibly they're choosing the wrong one. And again, like Heather pointed out, that often new people would come look at all of these things and then just book this 1-hour session, not really understanding the difference between these latter two options. And for Heather, this is not ideal, because in the deep dive, like, there's a lot of well, all the prep work gets kind of done in the Q&A call, and then in the deep dive there is some work between Heather and the client that needs to be taken care of before it would even really make sense for them to just jump. A 1-hour session is like for someone who you're already acquainted with and you can just jump right into it, and that would be fine, but it's definitely not appropriate for everyone. So that's just kind of our reasoning that we determined through discovery, why, when we're looking at conversion rate optimizing this page, that the ideal conversion that we're seeking is for them to kind of go on this clarity call. So I just wanted to finish out showing you, again, this is the original page, this is not the redesign. And something else that we discussed on the discovery between myself and Heather is that she has the capability of teaching Reiki, because she's a 3rd level, a master Reiki ranked practitioner. So she has the capability to instruct people in Reiki either in person or online. And she wanted to add a block, and she wanted to add verbiage that communicated this capability better, because right now it's just to have this block that says that the classes are closed and to go to the wait list obviously does not clearly communicate that I'm actively taking people for these classes and you could schedule something today. So my client Heather was looking to add language on this page that better communicated the fact that one is able to today start the process of scheduling the Reiki class. And this used to go out to a MailChimp form, and this one used to go out to a purchasing page, like a cart page for the discovery call. These are relevant because we changed both of the ultimate destinations of these calls to action. So now we're going to pop over and we're going to look at the new page and see kind of what we did. So this is the new page. We decided to structure it a little bit more similar to a sales letter instead of, this is just kind of like blocks of information, and they're slightly relevant to each other, but like not incredible. Like, this aspect is not an introduction that rolls right into the next two sections. Here, these modules are very segmented. Like, this aspect, this text is all relevant to what's going on here, but you could skip down to this section and read this section, and like, it's not understanding this block or understanding this is not directly hinged on reading the top. They're all kind of siloed. So instead, we decided to do a sales letter where all of the explanatory text is related to selling this product. And the reason why I wanted to point out what the prior calls to action were is because we changed them. So this, first I'll show you, I guess, the whole layout. So this top section is the sales letter that deals with selling the Reiki clarity calls. And then we have a testimonial block. And then underneath of the testimonial block, I added language that explains the Reiki education and also clearly communicates. See the difference between book my Reiki class now versus Reiki classes currently closed, get on the wait list. So again, the client's goal that we determined through our discovery together was that she wanted to better communicate in this block that she's actively taking, taking bookings and taking, able to instruct you in lessons now, rather than that it's something that is a process. While we were going through the conversion rate optimization process for this page, we also determined that the MailChimp form, which you saw on the previous screen, was not necessarily, well, there were two issues with it. One, it was not ideal for Heather as far as just dumping everybody into an email list and then having to sort out what level they want and etc. And two, it didn't really convert very well when people clicked off to that page. So what we decided to do instead is that we created a type form, and Heather created this and just provided me with the link. If you know anything about Typeform, you know that these pages are designed to be very conversion friendly by the nature that it's hiding most of the options, so it doesn't overwhelm you with all of the steps of the process, and it just kind of chunks you through it one at a time. So we decided that since we were going through the process of conversion rate optimizing her page anyway, it would make a lot of sense to streamline the onboarding process for her. Plus, by using Typeform instead of the MailChimp, the prior list, we were able to, she'll be able to create automations if she wants to by using services like Zapier or IFTTT. So it just would overall streamline her process, Heather's process, and make it more efficient as far as booking and scheduling these classes are concerned. And so you can see that all of these CTAs go out to the same type form. So that's just kind of the whole structure, and I wanted to, I don't think that I will go super deep into what the actual copy is for both of these sections. I'll probably provide a link where you're welcome to look at the sales letter and the copy more in depth yourself. But I really wanted to change the structure and change the verbiage to just really crystallize and clarify the benefit of going through this process. And what is, I don't know if I mentioned in this video, this is a second case study video of one of two landing page projects that myself and this client performed together. So I don't remember if I said it in this one, so I'll say it again just to cover my bases, that during the discovery, Heather and I determined that her ideal avatar is like a working mom. So we wanted to be sure that the benefits that we were communicating are something that specifically that mothers are looking for, and that the problems we're communicating are ones that specifically working moms are going through actively in their lives. So one example of how I added language to better reflect the situations of her avatar And this is something that kind of the client and I massage together because she is intimately familiar with the daily goings-ons of the people that she's working with. But I think that this line is very demonstrative of the copy changes that were made to be sure that what is being communicated reflects the life situation of Heather's avatar. So this says, as a parent, your family always comes first, even at the expense of your own self-care. Remember the good old times, going to the bathroom alone, showering without interruptions, and sleeping for 8 consecutive hours? Ah, those were the days. So we just tried to, like I said, change the language of, I mean, what, you know, comparatively to what's kind of going on here, like a lack of time is a reason for not taking care of yourself. It's not that that is not something that is happening in their lives. That's true, but this is a little bit more general. I think that many people besides working moms would say that they, you know, experience not having enough time in the day and that they don't, you know, necessarily prioritize self-care because they're busy with other. This is not super specific to her avatar is what I'm saying. I think that a lot of people, even a high-powered business executive who may be male, who may not have children, like might also be able to say, like, yes, I don't take such good care of myself as I could because I am, you know, squeezed for time. So it's not that what was being communicated here was not relevant, but it's just that it was rather broad. So what I tried to do through the copy process was gear it down more towards describing problems and describing existing life situations that are very specific to the avatar instead of just more broad issues that all people struggle with. So now I am prepared to show you that these, how we change the calls to action. So to book the discovery call, this CTA and this CTA both link out to a Calendly where you're able to just, you know, self-book. Oh yeah, and again, you can see how we simplified the biggest change probably is, like I said, removing those other 2 options so that the conversion we're optimizing for is for people to go directly into the discovery call, so that they are not, you know, selecting services that may not be appropriate for their current situations. So this call to action up here and this one down here, this whole block is focused on the discovery calls. And so you can see that we changed that from going out to a cart page to linking out to a Calendly to, again, just smooth that process that we really want to get as many people as possible on the phone with Heather, because that's where she is performing the best in booking future services. I kept her other 2 testimonials because they were very good. I changed this one because after seeing a survey of Heather provided me many documents of just pages and pages and pages of great testimonials. I decided after looking at them that these ones were very strong, the first 2, and I mostly just decided that the 3rd one that was in this spot previously, I think you can see it over here, this one was a little bit weak, and I didn't really feel like it was communicating a message that these 2 did not communicate. So instead, I went with this one, which this was one of the more descriptive testimonials that I found that was from a male client. So I thought that that would be interesting to add to this mix. I think that it communicates two different things from these ones. Again, the first being that he's a male client, and all of these other, I mean, this is very geared towards females, and all the testimonials were by females before. So the fact that this one is a strong and descriptive testimonial from a male client, I found that very interesting and compelling. And then the other thing, just about his emphasis on that he's very active and he trains hard in various capacities, that he decided to try Reiki for a different type of self-care. These other two testimonials, they kind of, I feel anyway, communicated that they had like a prior experience with Reiki, or that Reiki is just something that they were already interested in. So I liked this testimonial because he was saying that, like, describing why he decided to turn to Reiki, even though it's not something that he had possibly considered before. So that's why I changed that one up. And then when we're looking down here at this block, I'm sure you can see how different it is from the prior language about the Reiki classes. Again, this does not communicate that you could start the process of taking a Reiki class today. This. Book my Reiki class now. I want a Reiki lesson. All of this language, I really wanted to focus on the fact you can book a live Reiki class with me online or in person. That was something else that the client had emphasized to me in our discovery, is that this is not a course. It's not like pre-recorded something. These are all instruction that happens real time. So I wanted to be sure that that was emphasized in the text as well. And I also just wanted to better communicate, like, what is Reiki? Why would you want to learn how to do it? And also what, because I mean, there are different levels of Reiki, so I wanted to be sure that we were addressing what exactly the differences are between these levels, so that someone who is a beginner would be able to understand, you know, why it would make sense for them to go through all three levels. And also I wanted to be sure that someone who perhaps has some training already in Reiki would be able to understand that, okay, well, just because I'm up to level 2 right now, well, great, like Heather would still be able to take me to the third one. So I just wanted to best communicate that. I wanted it to be crystal clear that this is a process that you can start now. She is qualified to train you in all of the various levels of Reiki, so it's not like she's only appropriate for beginners. Although even if you are a beginner, she would be able to instruct you. And in the instance that you are a beginner, I wanted to make sure that you could really see the benefits and understand the differences between what the varying levels of instruction are, so that you would be able to have everything that you need to know to make a purchasing decision in this block without having to look like at outside sources or something. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't want to just put Reiki level 3, book the Reiki class now, and then the client, like imagine a viewer or something, like the prospect, if they don't know what this is, you know, that they'll have to like Google it and then go to an external website to find out what that is. I wanted to be sure to avoid that, so that we're keeping people on page as they're making this decision. So that is kind of the approach that I took when simplifying this page. And as you can see from her website, and you know, the client just has a really unique sense of style. And you know, while we were doing this conversion rate optimization process, I knew that I was going to be simplifying this page, because just there's many different fonts, large blocks of padding, many different alignments, lots of different backgrounds. I find that this background on this transparent like an image background on top of a white transparency is not super great for legibility. I didn't like that there are only link calls to action. I prefer to have button CTAs. I did like this, but I saw that there was possibly work that could be done in the level of, compellingness of these testimonials. But I wanted to be sure that, like, I knew going into it that I was going to greatly simplify the number of messages that were being communicated on this page, as well as the layout. But I wanted to be sure to preserve the style that the client had. And I think that this is a very successful implementation of a sales letter style page, but in a way that was able to retain the style elements that the client really enjoyed. So I think, well, I know that she's very satisfied with these pages, and I, as I said, mostly hope that she just feels very happy that she's able to keep the personality that she wants to communicate through this, even though the fact that, or despite the fact that this page has been greatly simplified from what was being communicated before. And I believe that we were able to accomplish these goals very successfully in this project. So like I said, I'll be including a link to this so that you could be able to take a closer look at the copy if you wanted to get a better idea of what my approach is when communicating sales messages, especially in the case where you have a very, very specific ideal avatar. So you'll be able to check out the link and see more closely how I approach that.